Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Brass Brewing podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Christian. Alongside me is
Espen.
And today we're going to talk about Heliod the Sun-Crowned. Now, you might be thinking, it's mono white. That's got to be boring. Well, I think Heliod kind of has a little bit of... He kind of gives mono white a little bit, like a new take on life.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to go over that in this episode when we get to the discussion about the deck. But first off, we mentioned in the Thoughts on Theros episode that was uploaded a few episodes back that at the end I mentioned I would probably be the one to build Heliod and Espen would be the one that would build Thrix. Well, that didn't end up happening. Espen got really, really excited about Heliod, and it was his birthday fairly recently, and I opened a collector's booster, and I ended up giving him one of the showcase Heliods I got, and then he got really excited. And
one of the couple.
Yeah, I got a foil and a regular, I gave Espen the regular one. I'm like, here, happy birthday. I mean,
and then it was I built the deck soon after.
Yeah, and so, well, this deck... You know, if for those that have been keeping up with the CDH community, it still hasn't been solved as a CDH deck. There's still a little bit of exploration, and, you know, mono white's got its disadvantages, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Espen, for this deck, what do you think the power level of this deck is?
I think that the power level of this deck is a solid 7. I would say an 8, because, like, even though last episode 9s and 8s seem like they could be worlds apart, but I don't even think that this deck could hold up with a 9. Like it has those combos that we discussed, and we will discuss again today, but like it's just very inconsistent in my opinion, and like not fast enough for CDH. So again, a solid 7 at best. What do you think the power level? Like, you've seen me play with it a little bit.
Like, I think with the build that you have at a 7's pretty fair. You know, if you updated it with, you know, the mana crypts and all the really good mana rocks, I'm sure it'll probably go up. And if you got some of the tutors, but as it sits right now, I think 7's a fair estimate of it. And it's still very strong. I mean, you have the win out of nowhere sometimes, and you figured out that you can win even a little earlier than you thought originally with this deck. So
it's just crazy. It's just like, oh, okay.
I think if you did upgrade it fully, and we will have the deck list of this in the description box below, but I feel like if you did update it and added everything like that you possibly could, so like all the really powerful tutors and everything, I feel like it could probably be an 8, but it's mono white. Unfortunately, mono white has a lot of disadvantages that other colors just don't have, because it seems like mono white doesn't really get a fair shake at life. And while I think Heliod's a good step there, and it gives mono white a new way to win and like a new take on life, I really feel like, unfortunately, while I want this deck to be CEDH good, I think it's still got there still needs to be a few cards that are printed that put it kind of, you know, over the edge.
Yeah.
And so, Espen, what are some of the basic strategy of this deck, and like kind of what's its archetype?
So of course it is life gain, as suggested as Heliod reads on his card, but it's like a life gain combo with some of the pieces that we will talk about earlier, but also aggro too. There are some really high synergies that gain life and putting a bunch of counters on a bunch of dudes and then swinging out for lethal, which I've done before. I've had we'll discuss later, but there are times when you can swing with like 5/1/1s and then they become 6/6s or 7/7s just from attacking, and it's really cool to see happen, because people go, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, because this does this, and then they just go, oh, yeah, that's a thing.
And talking about stepping outside of comfort zones, it's probably become pretty known while doing these episodes. Espen's a big Sultai player, and even with the episode that went up a couple weeks ago, the Muldroth episode, which as of recording of this, it just went up yesterday, but besides the point. Espen's a big Sultai player, and like everything that he seems to like to do in Magic is in those colors, and it's kind of weird seeing him outside of these colors, because ever since I've known you, you've played green and something, and you've always played green and something, so it's like mono white is definitely a step out of your comfort zone. And
oh, definitely, it's very it feels very weird. I'm not gonna lie, playing the deck, at least for myself. But like even when I'm playing this deck, I feel pretty comfortable playing it actually. And I tried to include as many ramp cards as white could have, and as many card draws I could think of to put into this deck, because white is lacking in those two aspects. And fortunately, I don't have any blue, so I have no counter spells. I did not put any in here. Feels a little weird, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
Unfortunately, that's probably like the worst part about this deck. And like, there's EDH decks without counter spells. I mean, look at the mono green decks.
Yeah.
But most of the time, their combo is just so hard to interact with, anyways. And if they resolve a piece, it's like it's good game, game's over. And I think that same can apply here. But it's just unfortunate that white does not have like a whole lot of ways to protect itself either. It's very unfortunate. This color, like we said, this color's got a long way to go, and we can only hope that Wizards keeps printing good white spells. You know, maybe they'll print like a Veil for mono white, hopefully. Just give it protection from something, because you know, this deck could really be put over the edge, and mono white could finally officially find its home in CEDH if they would just print like, you know, something that was like really good for it. And sure, you have some of the exile effects and stuff like that, but most of the time it's just not good enough. And which is why this deck, I think, is a little bit more unique, because it's got that surprise win out of nowhere, and you really rely on that sometimes. At least in the CEDH matchups, and I know we played a fair bit of this in CEDH, and I think our Tasker deck fares a little bit better than against my CEDH decks, but
this is fair.
You know, just because I don't have nothing to worry about really when you're playing this. I know I could just kind of do my thing, and it's like
I have some interaction.
Yeah, you have some interaction, but it's like I never have to worry about my spells not resolving, because that's like you don't even have the mana tithe out of nowhere in here. So it's like
I thought about putting it in here. I really did, but I just couldn't find room in the way I built it really fast.
I don't think mana tithe would be good in this deck. I think that would be a bad call.
I think it'd be funny.
It would be funny, but
I love doing funny things. I love doing fun things in Magic, and I mean, I think like one of the best cards in here is like Smothering Tithe.
Oh yeah,
like that's the last card Wizards has printed for white. That's like really good for Commander.
Yeah, Smothering Tithe's a phenomenal card.
Yeah,
and so we just wanted to announce during this episode that Magic Fest Detroit, like we said in the last episode, is right around the corner. It's the weekend of March 13th. So March 13th, 14th, and 15th. Brass Gaming will be there. Me and Espen will for sure be there. We'll be in the command zone probably most of the time. And, you know, Espen recently, unfortunately, rest in peace Tasker, kind of took it apart to finish his Pioneer deck. And so you'll have Heliod, right? And you'll have my decks that you can play too, but
yeah, I'll have Heliod down there. And it's just a thing about me as a Commander player. I love playing Commander, but also when it comes to Magic, I love building decks. I love being a deck builder, building new things, whether it's good or really, really janky. It's I just really like building decks, so I have a bad habit actually of making decks and then breaking them down to make new decks, which I think Tasker's like a deck that I've had for like a long time. Like at least like 3-4 months.
Probably your longest lasting Commander deck for sure.
Yeah, it's just lots of fun, ramping, drawing cards, destroying things. All the best parts of Magic, right?
Yeah, it's but yeah, so on the point of Magic Fest Detroit, if you guys see us there, and you know, we don't expect like a whole hell of a lot of people to come up and greet us, but if you happen to recognize us and you want us to sign something, or you want us to give you some free swag, which we're hoping. I ordered some stuff, and by the time this episode goes up, I would have ordered some stuff to give out, and hopefully that gets here before Magic Fest Detroit. I have no clue the timetable of the delivery of the item that I ordered, but you know, we're gonna have some free swag to give out, and if you're interested, just come up and say hi, and we'll play pretty much anything. You know, I have 2 CDH decks. Espen doesn't have Muldroth anymore because he took that apart too, even though that was mostly proxies anyways. But so before we go on to the discussion of the deck, I just want to encourage you guys to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this video. It helps us out a lot, and you know, as we say always, this is going to be a long journey. We are 100% dedicated and committed to this. As long as we get 1 view per video, that's enough to kind of make us go through the day. Like, you know, it's amazing how some of these episodes have done with, you know, only 37 of you subscribed, and we'd love to get that number up and have you guys join us and, you know, join the Brass Gaming family and keep us going. You know, just your views and your comments and your likes, it really helps out a lot, and it kind of keeps our drive to keep doing this going. And you know, we're both pretty much doing this full time.
Yeah.
And you know, we're moving back to our hometown pretty soon. You know, school's almost over, and a lot of changes are happening in our lives personally.
A lot of changes, yeah.
But this is the one thing that's going to remain consistent, and you know, as long as you guys keep watching. Also, if you guys are interested in Pioneer content, let me know. We both recently just got back into Constructed, and we both built Pioneer decks,
and they're not tier Pioneer decks. No. I would just like to state that as well.
No, they're not tier Pioneers, which I think will make the episode a little bit more interesting.
Oh yeah.
But so let's go ahead and move to the discussion about the deck. And so Espen, I'll let you take it away from here. Tell us a little bit about Heliod.
So Heliod Sun Crown. He is for 2 generic mana and a white. He's a legendary enchantment creature god. He has indestructible, and as long as your devotion to white is less than 5, Heliod isn't a creature. Now, whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control, which seems a little weird, but it's usually because some of the time Heliod is an enchantment, and so you want to put 1 counters on him, so that's how I think that they worked around that bit. And then he has an activated ability of 1 generic mana and a white. Another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. And he is also a 5/5. So, pretty cool. He has synergy within himself. He can give other creatures lifelink, and that will help you trigger his effect. And that is actually a main part of the combo, which is, I feel like when you start doing it, it's kind of hard to stop it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen it a lot. And the combo involves 2 actually artifact creatures. Well, the first one being Walking Ballista, which I know we talk about it a lot, but it's just a really good card.
Unfortunately, it goes in every deck, and it's just a good card.
Yeah, and the cool thing with this one is you don't need infinite mana.
Yeah.
Which for the past 2, you had to have infinite mana, where this one's like, you don't need infinite mana.
Yeah.
So, Walking Ballista. XX, artifact creature construct. Walking Ballista enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. Pay 4 generic mana, put a 1/1 counter on Walking Ballista. Remove a 1/1 counter, ping any target, so deal 1 damage to any target. And this works with Heliod because you cast Walking Ballista for at least 2, so you need 4 mana for it. And then you need 2 more mana to activate Heliod targeting Walking Ballista. So now Walking Ballista is a 2/2 and it has lifelink. You remove a 1/1 counter, it goes to 1, and then you deal damage to anyone, but it has lifelink. So you gain 1 life, triggers Heliod, you put a 1/1 counter, you put it back on Ballista, and it's 2. So you keep on doing that over and over again until you just kill all the creatures or just kill all your opponents, whatever you want, really. And it's just really cool. And Triskelion does the same thing, as Triskelion costs 6 generic mana, or colorless mana. It is an artifact creature construct. Triskelion enters the battlefield with 3 1/1 counters on it. And again, remove a 1 counter from Triskelion, deal 1 damage to any target. So, again, it's just, this one is higher mana costing, which Smothering Tithe and then some other mana rocks in the deck help cast it out faster. But then again, it's just a really good combo piece. And having 2 like Walking Ballistas, I would like to say, because I believe Walking Ballista is the better out of the 2. It's just really cool. And White has never had a combo like this. That's just like, oh yeah, I resolve this, I kill you all, I win. I mean, like, it has had combos, but like nothing like this. I think it's really cool because you don't even need infinite mana for any of these. It's just like, I play these, I activate my commander's ability, which you'll always have generally because it's an indestructible. And it's just really cool. Like, what's your take on the combo, Christian?
I mean, it's definitely really good. White's never had a way to just win out of nowhere and kind of, I resolve this, I activate this, do you stop me? No, okay, then you're all dead. I mean, that's nice that White finally has a strong synergistic card like Heliod Sun Crowned. And, obviously we talk about Walking Ballista a lot, and, it's Walking Ballista is a lot of fun to win with, and especially in here, because most of the time it's kind of mindless. Make a bunch of mana, play a big Walking Ballista, kill everybody. This is kind of like, okay, well, I have to resolve the Walking Ballista, then I have to resolve the activated ability of Heliod. It can be, and most of the time people aren't running the stifle type effects and in EDH unless their playgroup calls for it. So it's like most of the time, once this comes down, you're probably just gonna win, and I think both cards are good. It's kind of cool seeing Triskelion used used in another combo besides Mike and Shrike, which is Machaeus the Unhallowed and Triskelion, which again is another infinite damage combo. But it's nice to see Triskelion still getting some play and love after so many years of it being printed.
Yeah.
And so, moving on, this is one of the sections this is like Espen's favorite thing to do in Commander, and which is why I think it was really hard for him to make mono white, because while these ramp cards are good, they're not like the most ideal cards. You know? It's not like casting your green ramp stuff and really early on and getting it. Like a lot of these are fairly slow.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you have to especially in mono white, I should say.
Yeah.
And mono white, they're fairly slow because you're not, unless you have the mana rocks, you're not really cheating them out. You're kind of playing really fair Magic. So. And so the first one among them is Burnished Heart, which is an artifact creature elk. It's 3 generic mana, and it's a 2/2. For 3 generic, you sacrifice Burnished Heart, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. So again, pretty simple effect. You're just going to sack it, get a couple planes, and call it good. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, like I said, there's not a lot of phenomenal ramp stuff in this deck, so you take what you can get.
Yeah.
And so the second card is the infamous sad robot, Solemn Simulacrum. It's a 4 generic artifact creature golem. It's a 2/2. When Solemn Simulacrum enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Okay, so that ramps you a little bit. Again, any ramp you can get, you'll take.
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
When Solemn Simulacrum dies, you may draw a card. So again, a little bit of card draw. I mean, it's slow. He has to die, but it's fine. Like, he's a good blocker because he's just got upside when he dies. So
yeah, and he does 2 things that white has trouble doing: it ramps and it draws. It's like, okay, like might as well put it in here. And again, it does go in a lot of decks, but like it just feels really good in mono white because it just helps you just a little bit.
And so this final ramp piece is one that Commander's Quarters, Mitch from there, is really known for pushing. And that's Wayfarer's Bauble. So this is a 1 generic artifact. It costs 1 generic. And to activate its ability, it's 2 colorless, tap, sacrifice Wayfarer's Bauble. Search your library for a basic land card, put that card on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. Again, very, very simple. And all these kind of do the same thing. They sack themselves or they enter and you search for a basic or 2 and you call it a day. Very, very simple cards. You're not getting really fancy with it. Unfortunately, white doesn't really have a whole lot to offer, in ramp. And that's one thing that they have a lot of growth for, that they have potential for growth for, I think. They can always get better. They can always get better ramp cards, and I think that's fine.
Yeah.
So, Espen, this is the infamous 3 words, draw a card. Well, when you think of white, you don't think of that, but you happen to find some cards that do that fairly efficiently in Heliod. So what are these cards?
So the first card is Etched Oracle. It costs 4 generic mana, is an artifact creature wizard, and it is 0/0, but it has Sunburst, which is this enters the battlefield with a woman counter on it for each mana spent to cast it. So it's always going to come in at 1. I know that sounds bad, but it also has, for 1 generic mana, I remove 4 woman counters from Etched Oracle. Target player draws 3 cards. So you might be asking, how are you going to get all those woman counters? Well, we're a life gain deck. And as long as our commander's out, whenever we're gaining life, we're also putting woman counters on things. So put a lot of woman counters on this, and you just pay a mana, and then you draw 3 cards, which, hey, 1 mana for 3 cards sounds really, really good.
Yeah.
So it's just like, why not do it when you're like gaining life and with your commander out? It's just, I actually had to dig for this card to like look, because I looked and looked for all the card draw, and I was just like, oh, this card seems pretty cool, and like it's just very efficient in this deck, and it tends to help you get back into the game a lot.
Yeah, it may be slow, but I mean, again, you have to take what you can get with card draw. You know, sometimes when you're not running the ideal colors, it's fine. I've seen Espen draw many cards off it, as a matter of fact, when he gets like some of the Soul Sisters and stuff out, and it really adds up quickly. And like we talked about in the Thoughts on Theros episode, Heliod's very hard to interact with most of the time because he is an enchantment most of the time. So just a Soul Sister and Heliod out every time a creature enters, I mean, really good. It's always going to get a +1/+1 counter. You're going to draw a bunch of cards. So
yeah. Then the next card is a similar thing. It is Mindless Automaton, which I thought was really funny to put in this deck, but hey, it works. It is, again, 4 generic mana, artifact, creature, construct. Mindless Automaton enters the battle with 2 1/1 counters on it. Pay 1 mana, discard a card, put a 1/1 counter on Mindless Automaton. So say you're like flooding out and you have 2 lands in hand. Hey, you just pay a mana and then put a 1/1 counter on it. Pretty good. Then it also has remove 2 1/1 counters from Mindless Automaton, draw a card. Now this is really good because you don't have to pay any mana to activate to draw cards. You can just remove the counters and start drawing cards right away. And it's just really cool. I really enjoy it. I always thought that this card was really goofy. And I started building Heliod. And again, like I said, I searched for a bunch of cards to see what could help me draw cards. And I found this. I was like, hey, that works. It does 1/1 counter stuff, which Heliod likes to do, as his ability states. And then the last card that I have for card draw is Well of Lost Dreams. It is, again, 4 generic mana for artifact. Whenever you gain life, you may pay X, where X is less than or equal to the amount of life you gain. If you do, draw X cards. So say you have a turn and you like play 2 creatures and you gain 2 life. But you can pay 2 mana, you can draw 2 cards. Now, you don't always have to pay mana into it for however much life you gain. So let's say you gain like 10 life. You don't need to pay 10 mana to draw 10 cards. You can pay like 2, 3, 4, 5 mana to draw that many cards, which is really nice and very versatile because there'll be times where like I just need 1 extra card. And you just have that spare mana open. You're like, okay, might as well use it to draw a card. And since we're gaining a lot of life in this deck, it comes into, it's very handy, and it just works very well in this deck and the synergies. And we have quite a few ways actually to gain some life in this deck, and a lot of creatures that do that. Would you like to tell us about some of those creatures?
Sure. Some of our life gain creatures that we have in this deck. We have our basic Soul Sisters. So we have, first starting off is Soul's Attendant. She is 1 white mana for a 1/1. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you may gain a life. Very, very simple. Not much to talk about there. It's just a really good synergy with the deck. If a creature enters, you gain a life. With Heliod out, you get to pump a creature. So Soul Warden, again, similar thing. 1 white mana for a 1/1. She reads, whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain a life. So the exact same thing.
Literally,
nothing really to talk about. I mean, just a simple effect. And, you know, again, creature enters, and with both of these out, creature enters, you gain 2 life, get to put some +1/+1 counters on some things. This one is like a newer Soul Sister, kind of. It is Daxos, Blessed by the Sun. So this is 2 white mana for a legendary enchantment creature, demigod. He's 2 in star. Daxos' toughness is equal to your devotion to white. And so devotion, for those that don't know, is the mana symbols of whatever color. So in this case, it's white. So whatever mana symbols you have. So when he enters, if he's by himself, he's a 2/2. Whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain a life. Again, very, very simple, except for this one takes advantage of death. So gain a life. That's all you want to do with this deck is gain that life, put those counters on. And finally, the mean Soul Sister of the deck. This is Suture Priest. 1 colorless and a white for a creature cleric. She's a 1/1. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain a life. And then whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you may have that player lose a life. So unlike the Soul Sisters, you don't gain life off your opponent's stuff. You just go ahead and make them lose life, which, if you're playing that long game and not going to get the win out of nowhere, a very, very good way to stop them. And it stops cards like, the Kiki combo and the Splinter Twin combo. I know we've politicked a little bit to for me to kill other people, and then I happen to get you off a lightning bolt, but with the Keranos deck, but that's besides the point. So let's go ahead and move on to another thing Espen's really, really, really proud about with this deck, and that's the interaction. So Espen, what are some of the interactive cards within this deck?
So one of the most, or one of the best interactive cards of this deck is Swords to Plowshare. For 1 white, it is an instant. Exile target creature. Its controller gains life to equal to its power. So, say you're playing like one of your EDH decks, I can just like exile one of your creatures that's like comboing, or Selvala, or like Anya, or even World Gorger Dragon. When you play that, it's really good spot removal, and just very efficient, costing at just 1 white. It's just really good for the deck. And next is Return to Dust. It is 2 generic mana, white, for an instant. Remove target artifact or enchantment from the game, which just is eradicted to exile target artifact or enchantment. And then if you play the spell during your main phase, you may remove up to 1 other target artifact or enchantment from the game. So generally, I would cast this on my main phase because it gets rid of 2 problems, a lot of problematic things, like a lot of like Ghostly Prison or propaganda effects where I can't attack, or like things like Curse Totem that I need to attack through. It's just really good to just get things out of the way that are interacting with my combo. And one of the most clutch interaction pieces of the deck is Winds of Abandon. It is for 1 generic and 1 white. It is a sorcery. Exile target creature you don't control. So it's spot removal. Pretty good. For each creature exiled this way, its controller searches their library for a basic land card. Those players put those cards under the battlefield tapped, then shuffle their libraries. It also has an overload cost for 4 generic mana and white. And for those that don't know what overload is, overload, it says you may cast a spell for its overload cost. If you do, change its text by replacing all instances of target with each. So it's essentially a huge mass exile effect, which is just really good. There was a game actually where one of my opponents had like a lot of indestructible things that I could not get rid of. I was like, I don't know if I can interact with this. And sure enough, I draw for turn and I get Winds of Abandon. I was like, oh yeah, that does do that thing. And it felt really good. No one was expecting it. It's one of those cards that like a Cyclonic Rift that you just like don't see coming, and then you're like, oh yeah, that is a thing, and then it's just a feel bad for your opponents. But we have more things like this. Some of the good board wipes in the deck, because we're not super creature dependent, though we like having creatures. We really need board wipes in order to stay alive. So could you read off some of the board wipes?
Yeah, we're running a little bit low on time here, so I'm going to go ahead and try to power through these as good as I can. So we start off, we have Austere Command. For 4 generic mana, white, it's a sorcery. You get to choose 2. Destroy all artifacts, destroy all enchantments, destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less, or destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 4 or greater. So it's part of the command line. Big spell that you could do a couple things with. I mean, really, really good. Secondly, we have Day of Judgment. It's 2 colorless, white, for a sorcery. Simply enough, it says destroy all creatures. Another very, very simple board wipe. I mean, it does exactly what you want to. It's like a weaker Wrath of God, essentially. And then finally, the spiciest board wipe in this deck is the newest board wipe from Theros Beyond Death, and that's Shatter the Sky. For 2 generic, white, it's a sorcery. Each player who controls a creature with power 4 or greater draws a card, then destroy all creatures. So again, with Heliod as a creature, if you need a board wipe, you're going to draw a card, and you're going to go ahead and, destroy all the rest of the creatures. Very, very good card. And so this next section we have is Espen called Random Good Cards. So what are some of the random good cards in this deck?
The first one that I want to highlight really helps out with actually all these help with our aggro plan, is Abzan Falconer. For 2 generic white, It is a creature human soldier. It is a 2/3. Has Outlast for a white, which is white and tap. Put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Outlast only as a sorcery. So you only do it on your turn or during your main phase. And then each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it has flying. So all your creatures that you just put 1/1 counters on, they're all flying. So you give them all a form of invasion and just punch your opponents in the face. And it's just really good to like get your team up in the air and to like get in for a lot of damage sometimes. And then Archangel of Thune, one of my favorite, like it's one of my favorite cards in this deck. For 3 generic white, it is a creature angel that is a 3/4. It has flying, it has lifelink, and whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, which is like, okay, so whenever you're gaining a life, yes, you're putting a 1/1 counter on one creature, but you're also, with Archangel thing, you're putting a 1/1 counter on all your creatures. And with that Abzan Falconer, that could be devastating sometimes. And this card also synergizes very well with this last card, Linden the Steadfast Queen, for white, legendary creature, human noble. It is a 3/3. It has vigilance. Whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. So, say you attack with 5 dudes, all right? It triggers Heliod 5 times. You get to put a 1/1 counter on like 5 things. With Archangel of Thune out, you attack. You get to put 5 1/1 counters on all your creatures. Wow. And that could be devastating, which I have actually got wins off of, and my opponent was like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, it does the thing. And it's just, it feels really good when it happens. And the last part is another favorite of mine that I really like. I know I have a lot of favorites, but some alternative win conditions in the deck if you can't like get the combo, or if you can't beat down your opponents. Would you like to tell us about them?
Sure. So the first alternative win con in this deck is a pretty obvious one. It probably goes in every single white deck, which is Approach of the Second Sun. It's a 6 generic and a white for a sorcery. If Approach of the Second Sun was cast from your hand, you've cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game, you win the game. Otherwise, put Approach of the Second Sun into its owner's library, 7 from the top, and you gain 7 life. Again, this was the bane of Standard for a while. No need to really go into depth on it. Just a very, very good card, and one of the best win cons in this game. So, secondly is one that we were joking about before the episode. I think it's pretty bad, but I mean, it can get you the win. It can get you the win if your opponents are brain dead, I guess. And it's called Felidar Sovereign. 4 generic white. It's a creature cat beast. It's a 4/6. It has vigilance and lifelink. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 40 or more life, you win the game. Now, of course, I only joke about your opponents being brain dead to get a win off this. This is fine. I mean, it's another alternative win con, and mono white needs as many kind of cheeky ways it can win as it can get, and this is fine. It's just having to, with no real protection in your deck, having this to live through 2 or 3 more opponents. I mean, that could be it could be a tall task, but I have certainly seen people win off this, and sometimes it happens, and I guess it's pretty fun when it does.
It does.
So
it is fun.
We're going to go ahead and segue to the outro of this episode. So, the one question we always ask in the outro, Espen, why do you like Heliod?
Heliod is really cool because I love commanders with keywords. As Tassiger had Delve, though Muldrotha didn't have any, but since Heliod has Indestructible, I just love it when it's a hard time for my opponents to interact or keep my commander off the board. And it's just, and I love the life gain synergy. I love 1/1 counters. The synergy in the combo is super, super cool. It's all there. And again, I wanted to play outside my comfort zone. Like, as stated earlier, I love to draw, ramp, and counter spells, but I don't have as much of that in this deck. And Heliod is just really fun, and I love going like, yeah, I'm going to attack you with my huge indestructible creature sometimes. My opponent goes, oh, yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't always attack with creatures, but in this deck, it forces me to. And I love that different sort of gameplay, even though I don't always play it. I still find it fun.
Yeah, Heliod's definitely a really, really fun commander, and I think it gives mono white a new take on life. And so again, we wanted to say the deck list is in the description box below. And as with all in episodes, it's our favorite part of the episode. And this is our anime suggestion of the week. And so this week, our anime we're talking about is Didn't I Say Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life? So you can tell it's talking about the next life, so this is obviously an isekai anime. And it's a comedy isekai.
Yeah.
And so this has a sub and a dub available on Verve. And what can I say about this anime? Really, really funny. It follows the main character, and in the Japanese, it sounds like they're calling her Miley or Miley, and I don't know what, I haven't watched the dub, so I don't know what exactly they call her in the dub, but they follow this character named Miley, and she is this girl that she was kind of an otaku in her previous life and got killed, and part of her deal with the god she made was she just wanted to be an average everyday girl with magic powers. Well, turns out
there's a catch.
There's a catch. Her average powers are average of every single monster in the universe.
So that involves the weakest animal and maybe or maybe not the most powerful being in the world. So
she has half the power of the most powerful being in the world, and it's like,
which I think was like an elder dragon.
Elder dragon, yeah,
which is just like, okay.
And so it also follows 3 other girls. There's 4 main girls. There's Miley, there's Pauline, there's Reina, and there's Mavis. And each girl kind of has their own unique kind of take on their personality. And while they're all really unique, you know. I kind of enjoy the scenes with Mavis when people can't really figure out if she's a boy or a girl, because she's got this short blonde hair and she's kind of stocky build, and
and like the way she dresses too, sort of more like a soldier, is just kind of like off-putting for a lot of people, I think, in the show.
Yeah, she when Miley first meets her in like the first or second episode, she's like, "Oh, thank you, ma'am," or "sir." And it's like, and right before Mavis walks away, she says, "I'm actually a girl." And her goal is she wants to become a full-fledged knight. And so we follow these girls as they're in the kingdom of Tills, and they are going to this hunter school to become these powerful hunters. And yeah, really, really fun. We try not to spoil too much. I know we spoiled like a little bit here, but you know, each of these girls has a unique part. Reina's backstory is very, very interesting. You know, all of them have kind of they all have fairly tragic backstories, and really, really good anime. Really funny, but it also doesn't shy away from some of the serious moments. And Espen, you just finished it last night. So what did you think overall of the anime?
I thought it was great, and I suggest to watch through all of it, because like the ending is just like kind of like a twist I wasn't expecting. But it's just like really cool, really good feelings from the show. There are quite a few wholesome bits as they journey together, and it's just really, I just really like it. It's a really good anime to watch.
Overall, I'd rate this anime probably it's a really solid anime. I mean, I don't like rating stuff just because, like, out of 10, because, you know, I don't think my rating could really do it justice. It's a really cute, funny, you know, it's got some serious moments. You know, it's a really, really good anime overall. And, you know, if you like isekai anime, I mean, it's really good. And, you know, historically, I haven't been a biggest fan of isekai, with the exception of this and Konosuba. But, you know, when Espen suggested it to me, and I was talking to our friend Patrick back in Owasso, I'm like, well, Espen wants me to watch this. He said, "Is it isekai? You sure?" I'm like, well, is it a comedy? He said, yes, and I'll probably like it then. Yes. So, you know, each week we're gonna try to give you guys a new anime suggestion. I know we've kind of went heavy on the comedy so far, and we're gonna try to mix it up, and maybe in the next 2 we'll have more of a serious one. You know, we did Somali last week, and that was fairly serious. So, you know, we're gonna try to mix it up. And again, if you guys are interested in having us, you know, do an episode on anime, we're always looking to kind of expand our reach. And you know, we've been talking about some new content we want to bring. We want to bring some box openings. we want to bring, you know, some vlogging outside of in our local game stores, and some vlogging and the outside in the real world. And you know, we started with this format because we wanted to kind of get our feet wet in the YouTube door. And so again, if you guys are interested in seeing an anime episode, we would love to do an episode and just talk about anime and analyze or give our takes. And you know, these episodes are very opinion heavy, so
yeah.
So Espen, do you have any final thoughts about Didn't I Say Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life?
My final thoughts would be watch it.
Yeah.
It's a really good anime. I love isekais. I watch them all the time. And this is one of my favorite isekais, so it's really good. And yeah, just give it a watch.
Overall, really funny. Like I said, it's a solid anime. You'll watch it. It's got 12 episodes right now. And like I said, it's both subbed and dubbed is available. Very funny. If you like the genre of isekai in the first place, you're going to enjoy it. I mean, it's got a lot of good feels, and the intro music, or the intro song is really catchy. That's really cute, and overall, just a very, very good anime. And so, as usual, we always gush at the end here. We always talk about animes that we really like. And so I think it's time we wrap up for the day. So for the Brass Gaming Podcast, my name's Christian.
And I'm Espen.
And we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.